I just read, and I just finished it, and I'm gonna do like the Oreo method. Okay, so educated, I'm gonna tell you the good things that I liked about it. I really like the cover. I think that the cover is beautiful. It's Blood on the Bayou by C.C. Wright. Um, and there were parts of it that I thought were interesting when it comes to how families should be loyal to each other and how that loyalty allows them to circumvent like when people try to apart. I also enjoyed like the lesson of ancestors and how ancestors will step in if there is a problem because they want you to really make sure that the bloodline is continued and continued in a way where everybody is getting their needs met. I also enjoyed some of the dialogue, I will say, but I have to get into what just didn't make sense about this book. So, the first thing is, as a person who enjoys the details, and by details, I mean, yes, I think as readers, we should use our imagination when we're thinking about books. And I don't want the author to give you like everything. And I know that's something that for me, who's been a reader for a long time, I'm probably read over 3,000 books, just probably even more than that now. I don't particularly care for when an author has to continuously tell you, like, this person is bad and this person is trying to use someone. And whenever there's a scene with them, they continuously say they did these things in like a sneaky, snarky type of way. There is a person, spoiler alert. So if you know you're going to read this, if you know you're going to read this, whoops, I would suggest that you not watch this. I'm just going to give you about 5 seconds. One, two, three, four, cinco. Okay. So if you're going to read this, and I think you should. I always say that you should read books. Like I didn't enjoy this book, but I didn't DNF it. I still kept it and I still read it through. But this is the book I'm talking about. This is the cover. So I will say the part of this book that I didn't like was one, as I said, you do not have to express every time this person is a villain in the story that they are a villain. You don't have to express like they're doing all these things to get under the person's skin to make their whatever they're trying to do known. That was really like I wish I would have highlighted the portion so I could read it because it was like every time the main character, one of the main characters named Sasha was on and she is the villain, she is out to get this family, it was always and she's a bad person and she is trying to get the brother, and because she's trying to get the brother, she is putting words in his ear and they're slippery, silky, they're making him not realize that he is being manipulated, and like every sentence was with her and the brother was about her manipulation of him. So it's kind of like as a reader, you can't really enjoy it because you don't have time to infer what's going on. The author is feeding you the information instead of letting you like put it together, context clues, if you will. The other thing that this is a personal preference. I don't care for when an author is putting the like these people have money, okay? They're gangsters and their family has generational money. We know this. Every clothing item that these people wore, the author described the clothes, didn't even describe the clothing item. She was just like, she put on her Fendi dress. She put on her Cavalli shoes. I don't even know Cavalli makes shoes. She put on her Balenciaga sunglasses. It was just like, girl, we get it. Just say she put on her sunglasses, just say she put on her white dress. It was like, oh, she went and she bought a Fendi dress. She didn't describe the dress. She didn't say, the details. It was beautiful. It had a beaded neckline. It was sheer. It was gossamer, like whatever. It was just, she wanted you to know, or this person, I don't know if CC Wright is a man or a woman or they, them, I don't know. But the author wanted you to know that these people have money based on the items that they were buying. And then it was just like a continuation of that. And I was just like, we know they got money, girl. We know, boy, whatever. We know they got money. You don't have to keep putting into the story the things they are buying. Like, and then the other thing that I thought was really like, As a person who reads fantasy, as a person who loves paranormal books, I have read books where there are vampires and there are wolves and they have different things than what we normally see. This book didn't make sense to me because you have a wolf who has no healing powers and they didn't turn into wolves. You have vampires who have no healing powers. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. If you don't want to know, don't like cut this off. So, the villain in the story decides that because she has sent her brother to be a distraction for the youngest member of this family, she wants him to like get to know her and make sure that she stays out of the way. She doesn't want him to fall in love with her, but she wants him to make the girl who is a part of this family fall in love with him so the girl can give him information about the ins and out of the family. Because the premise is, sorry, I should have said this first. The premise is the wolves and the vampires have gotten together and they have banished all of the witches out of this part of the bayou. When they did that, the witches had to go and live with the human beings. When they had to live with the human beings, they were terrorized, they were killed, they had to hide who they were. This family, and it's a brother and a sister, Sasha and Rome. Sasha is like the ringleader of this whole get together to have vengeance on this family. I forget what the family is called off the top of my head. Um, the Bandanu family. So Sasha is like, we're gonna go after them because we should have everything that they own because they took it away from us and took it away from our ancestors. Mind you, this happened I think like 100 years ago. But she's had this in her heart for so long that she's built a coven for them to go after this family and go after the vampires and the wolves. The vampires and the wolves have gambling things, they have businesses, they also have they're drug runners, like drug kingpins and things like that. And so she tells her brother, in order to infiltrate this tight knit, close family, you're going to go after the sister. They go after the youngest niece. She's the youngest out of the family, right? And this is a close family. It's two brothers and a sister, and then the oldest brother has a niece, has a daughter. Jesus Christ! Again, let me show you this again. It's three siblings. There is a sister in the middle, an older brother who has a daughter, and then the youngest. The youngest is he likes to get it in, right? There's no woman that he thinks can resist him. So Sasha goes for the younger brother and turns him into her little puppet, right? Because he feels like there's no woman that could ever um, go against his advances. He's that confident in himself, and that confidence gets him killed, point blank. So then you have Rome, who is Sasha's brother, who is also, I guess, a warlock. And he is going after Tay, who is the youngest of this family. Now, she has a bright future ahead of her. She also is able to like tell when someone is lying, but she can't really tell about him. And instead of trusting that feeling in herself, she still goes forward and she starts to like him. Now, he has a purpose. He's supposed to get next to her to get information. He doesn't do that. He falls for her because he sees her as someone who actually is someone that he would be interested in. And so that's what happens. When this takes place, Sasha, who already has vengeance on her mind, sees this and she says, listen, I'm going to take care of her because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And if I have to kill both of you, I will. Now, she doesn't say this to him, but she says it to one of the coven members. And that coven member has been sent out to take care of the girl. And he does. This is what doesn't make sense to me as a person who reads paranormal work and vampires and werewolves and what is it, spider queens, like all of those things. He makes her get into a car accident and she's put in the hospital. She's supposed to be a vampire. I have never read a book ever where a vampire has gotten to any type of accident and is hurt. I don't know about you. I've never read one. and it's confusing. The only time I've ever seen a vampire in a in anything be hurt is when his blood or their blood is drained, and they have to like find someone like Blade, where they drain him, in every fucking movie in Blade to get him to not be um, Blade. Like they have something they want to do with his blood. That's the only time I've ever seen a werewolf be weak. I mean, a vampire be weak. In this book, again, which doesn't make sense to me, the vampire is in the hospital because they were in a car accident. Also, her friend was killed in that car accident. And I don't even realize, I don't think I saw it in the book where it said that that happened. It just said that the two girls were in the car and they got in a car accident. And I think it said like both girls were in the hospital. But you never even heard about the friend until much, much later. And it just, none of this made sense to me. Another thing in this book where they have the wolves, and because something happened where the two main men characters went after someone because they wanted to know where Sasha was, because at this point they knew that she was like hell on wheels and a witch, and they knew that they need to get rid of her. They go to this location, where there's a crime boss in a different city, and instead of them having a conversation with him, they get rid of him. Because that happened, his brother, his brother working with Sasha, and because Sasha has the middle brother, the youngest brother caught up in her spells and things like that, he tells her all of the information about where they are hiding the drugs, the locations of where they're hiding the money, the routes that they're taking. And so, because of that, she's able to give this information to the brother of the person that they had gotten rid of. And so he hits every one of those locations and kills a lot of the wolves. This is what I don't understand. Actually, you know what? Let me not say that, because they did have silver. So I take that back. I take that back. But it still don't make sense to me, because in all of these books that I've ever read, when these men, or these people, these families, especially if they're in these businesses like this, when they are like kingpins and drugs and things like that, they always have special places that they go to because they're making so much money that they have people on call. That means doctors, nurses, lawyers, witches, if they do it, which anybody, they have them on call. So if shit goes left, they can call people in and they can fix things. In this book, they kept going to the hospital. And then when they kept going to the hospital, people were asking questions. So it didn't make sense to me. I don't know. It was almost like this author was trying to make this an urban romance mixed with paranormal, but a lot of the things that are paranormal just didn't translate very well. I will say something also that I didn't appreciate, and this is just me reading as, someone who is always down with, anyway, what I didn't like is the leaders, who is the main guy, his name is Zay. Zay has cheated on multiple times the main character. And he cheated on her so badly that she broke up with him. He is now trying to come back into her life. What is wild about this is that he knows that he hurt her so bad, and he's like, pretty much like, I need you to get over that because I'm trying to come back in your life and treat you right. And she keeps saying, I need you to show me that you're going to love me right. There is no showing. The only thing he does is he calls her when he's out. And before, he would just be out and not call her. He would just be out and like doing his dirt and then come home. Like it didn't make sense to me. He's supposed to show her that he's a better man or a wolf or whatever. But all he did was just be like, I'm going to do better. Yet every chance that he had to show her that he was emotionally ready, he continuously dropped the ball. And then he would have to come back and apologize every single fucking time. And then he would also kind of get mad at her for not accepting his apology really quickly, or expecting him to keep his word. It was so weird, especially for someone in this book. He is the figurehead, not the figurehead. He is the main, like the main person in this book who is supposed to be leading these wolves, but he sucks as a leader. And he sucks as a leader because he's a hothead. When his main man, his second in command, is telling him, like, hey, something is amiss in this area, and I think that there are witches here. Instead of him listening, instead of him saying, you know what, we should maybe get somebody to check that out, his confidence, his overconfidence, allows him to be God because he thinks that he is invincible. And so, because of that, not only does he lose out on money, on drugs, the men that are his men, and his cousin is actually really injured. And it was like, how is he this person who's supposed to be a leader and he sucks as a leader? Like, he really sucks ass. And he was such a hothead that there were moments where he's questioning other people's loyalty and questioning how they are able or why they're doing things. And yet he's not questioning why. He immediately goes to this person he's known for his whole life or this person he helped raise. And then he immediately goes into, you've been disloyal to me immediately. And it's weird. It's very weird. And it was almost like the main character, who is his woman, has to kind of like placate him. She has to keep like, it's okay, you're okay, I'm apologizing. It was like, he's supposed to be this man, he's supposed to be, the head of this entire organization, and he's one, he's not a good person, but two, he sucks as a leader. Like, he has no emotional control. He's doesn't seem to be that intelligent. It just doesn't make sense. And I don't know what the author was trying to convey with the men in this book, but it almost seems as if they didn't know what they were doing. They were just grasping at straws, or they had so much confidence, they were too confident, and because of them being too confident and self-assured in a way that was like grandiose for no reason, they lost out on a lot of people. They lost a lot of merchandise. They treated the women that were around them very badly. Like, his woman who he had to come back to didn't even grovel. He just came back and was like, I'm going to be different. Yet he talked to her any type of way when he was upset. He threatened her family, even though he knew one of her family members was under the thrall of a witch. He still came in guns a-blazing after she just had his baby, knew she just had his baby, knew that she was afraid of what would happen because her baby was a hybrid, and still treated her like she was nothing and spoke to her like she was nothing. And then, even when he came to apologize to her, she had to prompt him with things in order for him to really say why he apologized. I was just like, damn, this is wild. I don't think I'll read book two. I feel like there's going to be a book two because The Witch ain't dead. But I didn't care for all of that. It was just, I don't know. I got through it, but I think that I think that there were plot holes in this book that needs to be addressed. And I think the author, I don't know, it was just weird to have a paranormal book where the only thing that these paranormal beings had was speed and some magic, yet they are supposed to be vampires, and they're supposed to be um vampires and werewolves or wolves, but they had no healing abilities. None of that makes sense to me, like, at all. None of it. And there's a part where the niece is in the hospital, and when she's in the hospital, it doesn't make sense because I'm like, why the fuck is she in the hospital? She's a whole vampire. And then she gets something where she is now like a superhuman vampire because she's walked between worlds, and that really wasn't explained that well. I just think that there was a lot of things that could have been done better in this book. And I don't know. I don't know. I've never read this author before. I got through the book, but I will say that I think that there was a lot of things left to be desired when it comes to writing a paranormal book, that it doesn't have to fit with what you normally see, but there were just things that just did not make sense. And then with the writing, as I said, there was some plot holes. It was like a fixation on labels. So instead of saying she had a, you know, a brown dress with ruffle detailing and whatever, it's a Fendi dress. It's a Cavalli dress. It's a Balenciaga sunglasses. It just didn't make sense. And the way that the women were treated in this book also, it almost made me feel like they were an afterthought in a way. I don't know. It just wasn't my fave. But as I said, I think that everyone should always read books that they don't like either, so they can just have, they can just think about what for them makes a good book and what for them doesn't make a good book. And this, to me, I think left a lot to be desired. But this is the book. It's called Blood on the Bayou by C.C. Wright. I love the cover. I would be interested to see, the growth of this author. I don't know if they have any other books, but this book, I feel like it just left a lot to be desired. Let me see if they have any other books before I say that. But the way that this ended, um, it almost looks like there's going to be, they do have other books. Okay. So maybe I'll see, maybe it's just this book. It looks like they have two books. I'm going to read the others and see maybe if it's just this one that's not that decent. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like I left a lot to be desired. All right. Thank y'all for watching this. And hopefully, if you read it, you let me know. If not, if you loved it, let me know why you loved it too. I think that's important to have open dialogue about books.